in for a little bit of excitement. This is a modern mold. This is made a pewter shot glass. What I basically do with something like this is I will make a master, and then I will send that master away to a factory, and at that factory where they make molds and they do bronze casting, pewter casting, all that kind of stuff commercially, for about $100 they will make me a vulcanized rubber mold. Now this is good for pewter, silver, probably gold. I don't know if I could do gold in this one, and probably not, but silver and pewter for sure, the softer metals. So two-part. That's the outside of my cup, and that basically is the inside of my cup. Right? There is you'll see 4 holes on this. The big hole is for pouring. The 3 little ones, those are for my air to escape once I've poured it in. You'll see that there's 2 knobs on this, one big, one small. Same with this. There's a big receiver and a small receiver. That's so I make sure everything's lined up properly. Together it goes. Now, we're going to try doing this without having a major accident. It can be painful. Now, normally I find it's kind of interesting. If I take one of these mugs, basically without the bottom, possibly without the handle, but usually with the handle, I could take one of those mugs and I can make 1 shot glass. That's pretty much it. Sort of a 1-for-1 thing. So, hopefully I've got enough pewter in here. Ooh, that's a little bit warm right now. I think I am going to switch to wearing my glove. Wrong glove. Other glove, other glove. There he is. Alrighty. So yeah, no pewter on my legs. That would be very bad. Very hot, very stinky. Oh, flesh burns badly. Alright, so here we go. Let's hope we get it right in the first shot. In it goes. Going, 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 going. Whoop, I'm gonna have to hold it. Hang on. Starting to float on me. Whoop, I think I've overflowed a little. I think we're good. I think we're good. As I said earlier, sometimes not the first cast doesn't necessarily work every time. So I'm going to watch the pewter on the side here, see where we're at. Okay, he's gone solid, so I can move that off. I think we're good. So again, here's the big bet. Did we make it or did we not? I'm going to see if we can pull her apart here. Come on, you. Off it comes. Looking like we've got. Looks like we've got one. A little warm right now. So what I'm going to do, work that a little bit clearer. Not a perfect pour. I should have been a little more careful holding that in. Come on, you. Out you come. There it comes. Boop! Out she comes. And there we have it. Needs some cleanup. Get the slag off of it. Put that back into the melting bowl. And we'll have a pretty little cup. Anyway, 1-to-1. That'll go to one of the teachers from the weekend. Anyway, that's it. Cheers, my friends. Okay, just because we had promised a couple of these out, these beautiful little cups, I get to cast one more here, and get to show you something I didn't show you the first time around, right? Which is, sometimes these guys can be pretty stubborn to pull off. It can result in things flying across the room. Hopefully, that won't be the case this time. What I'm going to show you though is a little trick that I tried. This is just simply a regular carpenter's pencil and with the graphite. And what I'll do is grab my X-Acto knife here, and I'm just going to throw a little bit of the graphite into the mold. And hopefully what will happen is that'll act as a bit of a release. So make it a little easier maybe to pull that mold off. Now the reason for that, of course, is that these little cups, of course, have a lot of relief on them. Right? Little seams on the outside. And of course this rubber mold is going to grab onto those, and until you actually get it to work loose a little bit, it's going to be stubborn and it's going to stick in there a tad or so. So anyway, We're going to try casting one more of these puppies. Yep, we definitely have enough pewter in there. I'm going to throw our glove on again. I think the handle's still a little bit warm. Get some of our stuff out of the way here so we're not tripping over ourselves. Okay, again, making sure that all the proper holes are lining up so that it's locked in. Ready to go. Get this into a position of relative safety. Get me into a position of relative safety. Now, a lot of the time what I'll do is I'll actually clamp this or put it into a form to hold everything in place so that this doesn't actually float up with the metal. In this case, I am just simply going to use my finger so it's easier for you to see on what's going on. I do not recommend that. That's a good way of getting yourself burned. Hopefully that's not going to happen here. It could end up being a spectacular end to our video. So here we go. We've got hot metal. And I get it started to be poured. Come up you, there she goes. Once I've started my pour, I'm going to make sure it stays pretty steady. All the way up. There it is. I can see it. What I'm looking for there, of course, is to see it just coming up into the pour hole there. And right now it's doing that nice little trick where it's just nice and shiny. We can see it. It's wiggling a little bit in there. It's starting to go hard. Now it's frozen solid. So I'm going to give it a few seconds here. The bigger your mold, the longer it takes. Something like this in the soapstone, even when the soapstone's hot, tends to turn solid very, very quickly. In a larger mold, it takes a few extra seconds because there's a lot more mass in one of these. Right? So, and again, the bigger the mold, the more risk you have. So, okay, I think we're probably done. Okay, I'm going to begin popping this one. There's the first part out. Now you can see a beautiful example there. You can see our 3 air holes, the 3 smaller little pegs that are exposed there. And then you can see where our big pour hole was. And what I'll do with that too is I'm just going to end up cutting those off and throwing them right back into our pewter cast. So without further ado, normally I would let this cool off a little bit more before I try to pry it out. Let it shrink a little bit. And I can do that. I'm just going to see if it's loose. If it's loose, I'll try to pop it out. If it's not, then I'm just going to let it cool for a while. Let's see. Well, see, that's exactly what I was talking about, right? So. See, what I won't want to do is have my hand fly apart here and clip the table and there, just knock the camera flying. You can see how tight that was, and that it was even with that little bit of graphite. But there you have it. Nice little pewter cup. Pretty hot mold. I've got 3 of these here. Basically, I cast for 2 people, but I always make a 3rd just in case, right? Because you never know when something's going to mess up. So I'm going to sand these down a little bit, clean them up, polish them up. Get a little bit of tequila, maybe a little bit of whiskey, something. Anyway, cheers, my friends. Okay, here we go. We're going to use the big sander here for a bit and clean our cups up. Although it's going to be pretty noisy, so... What I'm doing is I just very easily, very gently rotating around, taking the rough off the lip. Same with the base. Notice I'm rotating the cup before I actually hit the belt. Off the bottom, making sure I take square. Take a little bit off of here. Not too much, because I am going to be using another machine to round these out a little bit. So yeah, I'm going to do that with each one of these. Moving it out, moving it down. Bring it up. Thing to remember with a machine like this, I'm pretty used to it. It takes a lot of material off very quickly. I strongly suggest if you're just starting out doing stuff like this, be very, very conservative and very, very careful, because you can mess up a piece. Now if I mess up a piece, what I'm going to do is I'll just throw it back in, melt it down again. Okay, I'm going to move on to another machine. That's pretty much it for these. Really quite simple. Get it to the point where we want it. A lot of the rest of it is going to be done in the polishing room. Okay, that's it for this. Okay, this guy's a little bit different. Sad, bourbon gone. Okay, this machine's a little bit different. What I'm using on here is an emery pad, and it's not like a regular piece of sandpaper. It's more like what you would use to clean pots, like a pot scrubber. So I've got a little bit of polishing compound on it, or actually not polishing compound, actually emery compound. So I'm just going to use that. Turn on again, very noisy machine. And I'm just going to go over and just sort of burnish the high points on my relief a little bit. And that way when I polish this in the polishing room, hopefully those parts will stand out a little bit. I'll go back over my edge a little as well while I'm here. Softening my edge a little bit. Okay. Same thing here. I'm just going to do a real quick job on it. Now I may lose a little bit of the detail, a tiny, tiny smidge, but what I'm hoping for is when I polish this, it'll actually give me a little more feeling of depth and shadow with the piece. Okay, I'm relatively happy with this at the moment. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take a file to the inside edge. Just going to round that lip down a bit on the inside so it gives a nice feel when your lips are on the edge of the cup. And then we're going to go into the polishing booth. Okay, that's it for that segment. And really quick, so thought maybe it'd be smart if I let's see, where to put my other cups. Got one of the other cups here. So saw me doing it by file. This is another way of doing it. This is just simply another little mandrel I can put inside of my machine. Sticking it on here. Away we go. Just keep it in motion all the time. Clean that up really pretty. Don't want it to grab it if I can help it. Don't want to, and I also don't want to get over carried away so that I end up shooting my way through the sides. That would be pretty bad. And just again work my lip a little bit so it's nice and comfortable. So if you have the technology, use the technology. Coming out nice and pretty now. Got the extra stuff out. There we have it. All ready to go to the polishing booth. Alrighty then. convoluted effort because when I built the polishing booth, I didn't think about what it was going to take to actually shoot video in here. So first thing I'm going to do is we'll test this one out. We'll shoot this one with the dust collectors actually on. Hopefully it doesn't make so much noise you guys can't hear what I'm doing or saying. So, switch that on right now. Doesn't sound too bad. Okay, dust collector's on. We close the door to keep our contaminants out. So, I'm just going to use a simple white compound here. Normally I'd be wearing my mask, but in order for you guys to hear me properly, I'll cease and desist. So, just using white compound on this particular disc. I've made sure the other vents are sealed, the machine is on, so hopefully you can hear me okay. Putting a little bit of the old compound out, I could take one of our cups, and I'm just going to start right on the edge. It's already shining up quite beautifully, actually. Now again, with the compound, can really pull the metal off quickly, so if you're not careful about what you're doing, you can totally and completely remove any relief you've got on a piece. So I strongly recommend you be careful. I'm just going to do the edges on this one. Coming up beautifully here. So now we're going to go on some of that relief. And I don't want to polish it all because, honestly, I want to have sort of a shading. Now, the cup is getting hot. I'll move on to the second one. It gets too hot to hold. You can run the risk of having the machine grab it, throw it around, damage it. You want to try to avoid that as much as you possibly can. Nice and shiny, going back to the first one again. I'm going to continue working on my edge. Oh, that's beautiful. I love it. What a gorgeous piece. Somebody's going to be really happy with this one. So hopefully you guys are seeing this come out okay. As it is, I'm going to polish all three of them up. And that'll be the end of that. I'll show it a couple of photographs and that at the end, just to add in. So, that's it for this segment. The last part will be basically just the final cleanup, presentation, ready to go. Anyway, that's it for now. Well, there you have it, guys. Our shots for the day, 3-shot glasses. Solid pewter, once a beer stein. Not anymore. So, cheers my friends. We'll see you in the next segment.